name is Robert Ri'chard, and I am a celebrity. I've been on television for 21 years. I've had really popular TV shows. One's called My Cousin Skeeter. It was on Nickelodeon for 5 years in the 90s. Did another show called One on One. I've done movies like Coach Carter, House of Wax, and been on Vampire Diaries, a bunch of stuff. So the first thing that happened when I started the business is I was in a bunch of theater shows, and I was doing it because I loved it. And that's all that I needed. I just was in theater, plays, and did musicals and went to class. And I spent all my time, so much time. I actually spent about, I'd say 4 hours minimum a day for 7 days a week. So about 30 hours a week. And one time I went to I had a show, and the agent was there and asked me if he wanted to represent me to send me out to start making money from what I was already spending time doing anyway. So I said, yeah. So that was December of 1995, and then there was Christmas, and I started January of 1996. And I went for a job interview, and I got the part. It was a show called Hanging with Mr. Cooper, a comedy on KTLA. And I remember they sent over a contract of what they were going to pay me, and I was 13 years old. My mom answered the phone, and the answer was $2,000. And that's more money than I'd ever seen in my life. I would normally think like, oh, my allowance was like $10 a week. It's like $2,000. And then they said, yeah, you got to come to work on Monday. You're going to work Monday to Friday. So I did, and I was happy. I got to work Monday, and because I was a minor, there's a legal amount of time that I was allowed to work per day, mandated by the state of California and the federal government, which was 10 hours. So basically, I went to work at 7 a.m., and I got off at 5 p.m. for 10 hours a day for 5 days a week, 50 hours. So if you do the math, I got paid $40 an hour. Now, I didn't think about it at the time. I was just thinking, oh, $2,000 for a week, that's freaking awesome. And then I started to gain more and more of an audience, because the things that I did, people liked it, and I got hired on other jobs. And about 3 years into my career, I got on another show called My Cousin Skeeter. And basically, I made about the same thing. I made $3,000 a week. And at that time, I was a little bit older. I was like 15 years old, so I could work 12 hours a day. So that was 12 hours a day times 5 days, which is 60 hours in a week. So that's like the average adult works like 40 hours a week. So I'm working 150% of their time. So 60 hours a week, and I got paid $3,000. So you do the math, I got paid about $50 an hour. And then also his Uncle Sam would take out half of that, so that $3,000 check was about $1,500. And I kept going and kept working. But what ended up happening is that there was so much resources and time that was spent to get jobs, and I was the one that was winning. I was the person that was the best, got hired, and so leaving school, driving the auditions, going from the South Central LA all the way to Burbank after school at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, take 3 hours to get up there, get there at about 6, do the audition for 15 minutes, and then come an hour out home because the traffic had died down. There's all this time, and that was costing a lot of money. Just general costs, gas, getting food along the way, just doing things. This is basically like, keep this going because this is my passion. And imagine how hard and difficult it'd be for the person who was second in line, who wasn't getting the jobs. Because there's a guy named Willie G, who's a friend of mine, and he was always the guy who didn't get the part because I got it. And Willie fell on really hard times. And he'll tell you, he's like, man, I got depressed. I was homeless for a while. I couldn't have clothes. And it's like, at some points I was thinking about suicide. So cutting forward to where we are now, what was television has become the digital space. And there's a real shift because the digital space for me didn't exist in the 90s. And so all the money that was able to pay me and pay the whole industry was coming from the advertisers into that space. But now we're looking at a shift where that advertising money is now going into digital and leaving the traditional models. And this year was the first year that more money was spent in advertising on digital than on traditional television. So the focus of where we're sort of performing has now shifted from what I could do in traditional models to what I should be doing on the social landscape, because that's where the industry's going. And I'm feeling that pressure from my agent and my manager. Hey, Rob, you need to get your digital platform up. You need to get on Instagram. You need to build up a following. And I'm thinking, well, why? Like, I have 6 million people watching one-on-one my TV show for years. Everyone knows me when I go out. Yeah, but you're not going to book any work unless you're building up your following. So now I'm at that pain point of which, even though I have the awareness, I have to have the awareness in the right space, which is on the digital space, to qualify to earn a living. And right now, I'm suffering a lot. I can barely afford living in my house. I mean, I bought a house because when I was in the heyday, of course, I was making tons of money. But now I'm having to choose between whether to buy gas or whether to buy clothes or whether to buy food to just survive and maintain life. And I have to rent my room out to guests to have ancillary revenue, and I have another roommate here and guests, and sometimes I rent out my room, Airbnb, whatever I have to do to kind of make some money just to survive. But I have the awareness, because when I walk outside, I go to the mall, everyone's walking up to me. And everyone's like, oh my God, I love your stuff. I want to go see your movies. How do I interpret that? I want to pay to see your talent. I can't wait for the opportunity for you to buy another ticket to go see what you're doing. And this culture of bringing fans, your audience, to what you do and why they're attracted to you and your talent is changing so much that in the old way that happened in the old model, where celebrities got paid a good amount of money, lots of money to be in movies and TV shows, how it was in the 80s and 90s, to bring a following, we're seeing something happen differently in the era that we're in now, which is the same type of celebrities who are digital celebrities, but it means a lot these days. It actually means more your digital footprint than it does your traditional. They're not getting paid, and there's no system to get paid, and they're not being appreciated, and they don't have enough money to survive and to keep putting out their talents. Now, the difference between them and me is that when I went to work every day, some studio, some network was paying for all the things that we need to be able to put out the content. So to be able to hire the cameraman, hire the sound guy, rent the cameras, rent the space. But all these content creators, they're doing all that on their own. So not only are they the talent, they're also the studio, right? They've got to self-produce all this content, and there's a certain level that they have to if they want to be relevant. It's got to be in HD or Ultra D or integrating new technology or not have any, glitches on the sound. And that investment in themselves is their investment in their business. But the way the model's set up right now, they're not making any money. So I think it's imperative, that for survival of that talent, of those content creators, just like how I was surviving, that's how I'm struggling to survive now, they need revenue to keep putting out content. And that's a problem that I think that I'm experiencing, and I want to fix for everyone who's just like me.